Is going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to another edition of On the Road to Victory. I am your host, Jimmy Smith, and I hope you're all having yourselves a great Tuesday. But Tuesday it is, therefore, we are behind enemy lines, taking a look at the Eagles' Week 3 opponent, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. This is not a live video, but you know the drill here. We're going to get through this. We're going to talk about the offseason roster moves. I've got the 2023 stats and rankings, their coaches, the roster practice squad, depth chart, reserves, everything you need to know about the Eagles' Week 3 opponent. We're going to go through it all here, but I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Keep tuning in throughout the week. Now, usually Wednesday is the initial injury report, but the game is on Monday, so probably not going to get that stuff till Thursday, but I will keep you up to date with that. You'll have the top matchups, roster comparison, all of that stuff coming out to you, so keep tuning in. But let's get to know the opponent here, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, going behind enemy lines here. We're starting off with the off-season roster moves that the Bucs were able to make. So let's get this bad boy started. Appreciate you hitting that like button, subscribing, all those things you're doing to support the channel. Cannot thank you enough. But let's take a gander at what the Buccaneers did this offseason. Now, clearly, Tom Brady retiring, that's a major news for them. But look, Donovan Smith left, Shaq Mason. So 2 linemen there, the backup quarterback, Blaine Gabbert. You lost Sean Murphy, Bunting, Edwards, and Neal in the secondary then. But you got a great draft there. First few picks are pretty damn good. And Trey Palmer, I thought, was a steal. You've got some key additions here. Baker Mayfield looking pretty damn good. You got Filer on the line, Greg Gaines, Ryan Neal. So not too many crazy additions in free agency, but a good draft trying to, get things heading in a different direction. Clearly losing Tom Brady, adding Baker Mayfield, that's a completely different scenario, but they're doing great so far. They've got a good team. Do not sleep on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yes, Baker Mayfield's the quarterback, but he's been looking good, and they've got some studs on this roster, and they've been doing pretty damn good so far this season, 2-0. But let's take a look here at, and I think they were, 8-9 last year. So, look, last year doesn't matter, right? Let's take a look. But again, take this all with a grain of salt. Only 2 games. You got to look at the opponents, all that stuff. But just getting a feel for how they're doing. See on offense, middle of the pack there in points. Same for total yardage. Passing in the top 10 there. That's pretty crazy. But you get some pretty damn good receivers. Rushing, they are 19th. Not allowing much sacks. Tied for second. Only a half sack per game. And then the big one, 0 turnovers, no fumbles lost, no interceptions thrown. So great for their offense. That changes this coming Monday, just letting you know. But on the defensive side of the ball, tied for 8th in points per game, 9th in yardage, 24th against the pass. So we're going to look to get that passing game going for the Eagles. The rush department here, the Eagles are number 1 in the league, but you see they are number 2 in defense against the rush, only allowing 54 yards per game. Now, in sacks per game, they're getting 4. That is tied for 5th. You know the Eagles have struggled in pass protection the last couple of years, so going to watch out for that. Interceptions, they're getting 1.5 per game, and they're getting 1 fumble recovery per game. That has them at 2.5 turnovers per game, tied for 4th. Pretty damn good. The Eagles are actually tied for 2nd with 3, though, just letting you know that. But a good defense, a good offense. Do not sleep on Todd Bowles and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Monday night game, both teams undefeated, looking to work out some kinks here. Everybody's sleeping on the Bucs, so they're playing with house money here. Going to be exciting to watch this game, but let's take a look at this roster that I'm talking about. And after I'm done, I'll show you in a depth chart so you can see what this team is going to look like when we play them on Monday. Now, Todd Bowles, as we mentioned, head coach here. We've got Dave Canales as the OC. Another team with 2 defensive coordinators in Casey Rogers and Larry Foote, grew up watching him. And then special teams coordinator Keith Armstrong. So that is the coaching staff, not the entire, obviously just the coordinators and head coach, but you see the team. Now let's take a look position by position here. You will see anybody who's on the practice squad or IR listed down below. But you see the guys in white here are the guys that are on the active roster. So you've got Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask, the only quarterbacks here for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. John Wolford on the practice squad. Look, we got to get to Baker Mayfield. I think we can definitely start, their turnover factory happening here. I think that It's time to get a few in this game, but again, a good team that has not turned the ball over. So we'll see how Baker looks on Monday. Now, the running backs, I like Rachaad White. Can run the ball well, but he catches the ball out of the backfield. I felt for Baker Mayfield in this team, that would be something very special. Now, he hasn't gotten anything going, but the Eagles need to watch out for that. They've been doing great against running backs. Crazy to say that in the run game and in pass protection. So I love it. 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 But you never know. You got to watch out. And then they've got a rookie, Sean Tucker. I know Chase Edmonds was banged up, so we'll talk about that with the injury report. I'll keep you up to date with all injuries for both teams. But you see Patrick Laird on the practice squad there if they need to bring anyone up. Now, wide receivers, they've still got two studs in Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Still doing their thing. Mike Evans out there killing it, trying to show he won some big money next year. But Trey Palmer, I talked about, I thought was a great steal in this draft, a great return man, third receiver. But they also got Raheem Jarrett, who I liked in this draft. So some good young pieces to learn from Godwin and Evans. And you see on the practice squad, Cephas Johnson, Ryan Miller, and David Moore. Russell Gage on the IR for the Buccaneers. Now at tight end, they've got Cade Otton, Keeft, David Wells, and then Payne Durham. I liked Payne Durham in this draft, but you see Tanner Taulua down there on the practice squad. Cade Otton, look, I'm not afraid of him, but you got to watch out for these tight ends. The Eagles, did well against Hawkinson. I thought, it could have been a lot worse. He didn't get that touchdown. You got to figure some things out. Eagles got some injuries, so you got to watch out for the tight end department, especially with those great wide receivers. They can open things up for Otton, for White, and the guy's really opening things up for this offense, that offensive line. Tristan Wirfs is a stud. We talked about adding Filer. They've got Hainsey. Cody Malk was a great draft pick for them. Very versatile piece. And then you've got Luke Kadecki there. You see the depth below them. And then you see a couple guys, Haggard and Desani on the practice squad. And then Ryan Jensen on IR. They've got two players on IR. You've already seen them on offense here, Gage and Jensen. So that is the offense. Now let's move through this defense here. We're going to start it off with the interior defensive line. A lot of odd fronts. So these guys, they're going to be called defensive ends, defensive tackles, nose tackles, defensive linemen. But starting off with a nose tackle, Vita Vea, you've got Kalijah Cansey. Sorry, my dog freaking out here. Logan Hall. And we talked about Greg Gaines being added, Mike Green there, William Golston as well. On the practice squad, you've got C.J. Brewer and Pat O'Connor. So Pat O'Connor was actually elevated last week. So we'll see if they decide to do the same thing again this week. But you've got some depth pieces here. And Kalijah Cansey actually was hurt in week 1, missed last week. We'll see if the young man can play this week, but a great pick for them. So trying to revamp this defensive line. But those edge rushers, the outside linebackers, as you could call them for this defense, Shaquille Barrett, Joe Tyron, Shoyinka, Yaya Diaby, Anthony Nelson, Cam Gill, Marquise Watts. Now, Yaya was a great pick for them, I thought. You've got Tryon, Shoyinka. So that's a decent rotation there, man. That's why they've got like 4 sacks per game. They're getting after the quarterback, and Shaq Barrett, one of the best to do it. So the Eagles going to have to work on that pass protection and definitely keep Jalen Hurts safe. We're going to hope that we do our best here, but Shaq, we'll see if he lines up against Lane. A little bit of Jordan Mailata, but they've definitely got some studs there. Now at linebacker, a couple more studs. Devin White, Levante David. Then you've got Servatia Dennis and KJ Britt as depth. On the practice squad, you've got JJ Russell. But those top two of the best to do it. So I know there's been a lot of chatter, the Eagles trying to go after him. But Devin White said, look, he doesn't want to be traded. He regrets saying that. He loves being a part of this defense. And they've got a lot of playmakers, man. This defense is definitely one to be worried about. Definitely do not sleep on this D. You saw the numbers earlier. Now, in the secondary at corner, got some studs here. Carlton Davis III, Jamel Dean. Now, Davis was banged up. He missed last week. You had Zion McCollum, and that's Tristan McCollum's twin brother who the Eagles have on their practice squad, but he got, I think it was like his 4th start last week. So we're going to hope, they're obviously going to hope the most that Carlton Davis is healthy, but always want to see both teams, at full health. Then you've got Jamel Dean, who I think is one of the most underrated corners, but Christian Izziet, man. This is one of those kids that slept on, undrafted. he was a safety that, is so versatile. He's playing nickel for them right now. And I think a great addition to this team. But then you see Keenan Isaac there on the practice squad. Now at safety, more studs. Antoine Winfield Jr. And then they added Ryan Neal in free agency with D. Delaney and Kayvon Merriweather there. Richard LeCounte III there on the practice squad. But as you can see, this defense is not to be played with. And the same goes for the offense. You can laugh at Baker Mayfield, say what you will about him, but the rest of this team is effing stacked. So, look, they're playing well. You got to watch out here. Now, specialists, you've got Chase McLaughlin that was brought in as a kicker this year. And you've got Jake Camarda there as punter, Zach Triner as long snapper, and then Devin Tompkins as their return specialist. He can do both kick and punt returns. But as I mentioned, they've got Trey Palmer there, man. And I wouldn't hesitate to put his ass back there if I were the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Just saying, man, the kid's pretty effing talented. So I'm going to be keeping my eye on him, and we'll be talking about all that stuff during the top 10 matchups. But let's take a look at everything I just showed you. You 7,000 names going on there. So what I'd like to do at the end here is show you the list of reserves, the practice squad, and the depth chart here. So you saw all those practice squad players at the bottom. Here is the full list, offense and defense. You can see 9 on offense there, 7 on defense. Keep you up to date if anything changes there. But then you saw, as I had mentioned, the reserved. They don't have anyone suspended, no one on the PUP list, NFI list, anything like that. Just 2 guys on IR in Russell Gage and Ryan Jensen. Now up next, I've got the depth chart for you. So let's take a look here. Anybody that you see in orange here is new to the roster this season. Everyone in white was on the roster last season or before. So you can see, as we talked about, Mayfield, the new quarterback, Palmer, a steal for them. Then they added Filer in free agency, Malk in the draft. So they added the right pieces. I think still a pretty damn good team, one that is being slept on, but I don't think for much longer. Now on the defensive side of the ball, again, same thing. Orange, that means they are new to the team. White, they have been here. So they added Cansey, but, if he's banged up, you've got Mike Green who can step in, William Golston there, so we'll see what happens there. But just like with the Eagles, you can see the 5-man fronts. So there's 12 starters here. You see the 3 interior linemen surrounded by their outside linebackers. You see the inside guys that are actual linebackers, off-ball, stack linebackers, and Devin White and David. Then you see the secondary, Davis, Dean, Izzian. I've talked about it. If Davis is out, Zion McCollum would step in. That would not be good for them with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. But, hey, the Eagles are missing a couple of corners, and we're going against Mike Evans and Chris Cobbin. So don't want to hear it. But you see the safeties here, Winfield and Neal. Again, I think a very good team. Now, do not sleep on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But here are the specialists, just in case you missed it. And as I said, Devin Tompkins does both for them. But they've got a couple pieces there that if anything were to happen, they've definitely got some more guys with return capability. But that is all I've got for you, ladies and gentlemen. That is it. That is Behind Enemy Lines with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, your Philadelphia Eagles Week 3 opponent. But I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Who do you think we need to watch out for the most? Maybe you're jumping the gun. You want to tell me who your top matchups are. We'll have those on Thursday. Do not fear. But tomorrow I'm expecting Avonte Maddox to go on IR. We tried out a few players. Go check that stuff out from earlier. But we'll talk about all those things tomorrow. Thursday, again, is those top matchups. Friday, things will all be a day later because our game's on Monday. So look out for that game status report on Saturday, practice squad elevation Sunday, all that stuff. So I'll keep you up to date with everything. But, hey, you never know. Eagles could sign someone in 10 minutes, and I'll be right back. But whenever that is, I'll see you then. But I appreciate you all hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel, everything you're doing to support it. Cannot thank you enough. But until next time, I am Jimmy Smith, and this is On the Road to Victory. Hope you're all having a great week. You stay safe out there. And as always, say it with me at home now. Go Birds!